Hey guys, we're going to take that old Colt and we're going to start bluing it. And for this gun, I'm going to cheat. Normally, I will take and slow rust blue a firearm, and sometimes it'll take 1 or 2 weeks, and sometimes I'll cheat. And what I've done is I've had this rust blue agent that I first saw on Mark Novak's channel. And this stuff works pretty slick. And if you don't want to do it the long, slow way, this works out pretty good. What I do is I take and I just fill up the cap with this stuff. Right? Set that down. And then I'll just take a regular patch, just a patch that you clean with. And I'll dip it in that cap. Get some on the patch. And all these parts have been cleaned thoroughly with acetone. We're going to move back here. I've got the barrel section in the vise on an old cleaning rod. For some reason, my camera boom doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, there we go. Anyway, these have all been cleaned with acetone, wiped down. I used an old toothbrush to scrub them down with, and generally that works out great. You're going to notice some pitting. This gun had a lot of pitting, and there's only so much pitting you can sand out. There's a reason these guns were made as thick as they were, the metal, and that's to withstand the pressure. And when you go sanding on them, you remove metal. Now, granted it's like thousandths of an inch, but you know, you take off too many thousandths, and your gun's too thin, and that's how you open yourself up for accidents. And personally, I like both my hands and all 11 of my fingers. So yeah, you just be careful. And when you wipe this down with this rust blue chemical, it's going to turn like a rainbow color. That's normal. And what I do is I'll thoroughly coat it, let it sit up, and then after it sets up and dries, I'll look at it for uniformity of color and touch it up as needed. Once it's dried and I'm happy with it, then it goes into the steam chamber. Now, sometimes I will set up a humidifier. I've got a piece of 4-inch diameter PVC that I normally steam large parts in, like shotgun receivers and barrels and things like that. I'm not going to do that with this one. It's too big of a setup for these small parts. What I'm going to do is outside, I've got my actual bluing tank pulled out, and it holds 2 gallons of water. What I will do is I will put 1.5 gallons in it, and I'll hang these in it and just let it steam. It doesn't have to steam very long, 10-15 minutes tops, and it's usually good to go. So I don't know how well the camera's picking that up. I can't tell, but that is starting to turn a nice copper color. And I'll pull this off. I'll hang it over here to dry, and then I'll do the next part. I'll bring you guys back after I've got the bluing tank nice and warmed up and steaming, and then I'll show you how I'll hang these in. I'll see you then. So we're outside now, This is my boiling tank. I did a video on it, but you know, it's still ugly. I still haven't worked on it. What I'm going to do is, and I hope the camera's picking up on the steam. Take the parts. I've got them suspended from a rod. Oop, don't do that. Carefully lower them down in. And I'll let them sit there good 15-20 minutes. Let them get nice and wet, and they'll start to rust. And I'll bring it back in about 15. Okay, so it's been about, I don't know, 10 minutes. Take this off. We'll bring these out and I'll show you what this should look like. Yeah, see, they're starting to rust. We got some good rust growing on there. A barrel, a hammer, a frame. I'm going to let her sit in there for a few minutes. I'll bring you guys back when I'm done with the rust balloon. We'll be back down in the shop, and I'll let you see what it looks like. So while those parts are rusting, I figured I might as well show these grips a little bit of love. I'm just going to take a blue rag, some boiled linseed oil. Don't need much. A little of this goes a long way. I'm going to wipe these down a little bit. Give it a good heavy coat because I have no idea when these were last wiped down. Along the back here, across the top. The faces where they hit the brass. Maybe got some dirt too. Takes the dirt off. Did not want to sand these and refinish them. I mean, they were a lot better shape than the rest of the gun. Imagine that. Yeah, it doesn't look that bad. No, I'm not wearing gloves. No, I'm not worried about it. Okay, so we're going to take this and we're going to go back over to the same piece of cleaning rod. I've got some painter's tape wrapped around that to hold this. And do a little more wiping. Yeah, they're drinking that oil in. Those grips are just drinking that oil in. Thirsty. Absolutely thirsty. See how this is all dried out over here already? That's still wet. I'll come back in a couple hours and see what it looks like. Yeah, they're neglected. Definitely neglected. Oh, and you guys didn't see, damn it. You guys didn't see that that I had not rusted, or you did see that I didn't rust the cylinder on this gun. And that's for a very good reason. The cylinder, let me grab that. I'll swing it back over here. The cylinder, these have, they're 6-shooters. They each cap and ball. They each have a nipple back here. Now, the nipples on this were just shot. They got to be replaced. And I was able to get 3 of them out. 2 with a wrench. One required some impact methods. Let's leave it at that. But I got 3 out. The other 3 I had to drill out. And I got it as close as I could. Now, the threads on these nipples are 1232. The threads on the aftermarket nipples that I have found for the guns, they have the remakes, you know, like the Ubertis and those sorts of things, the ones that came out in the 60s and the 70s. The threads on their nipples are 1228. The nipples will thread into this, but it's not right. And yes, I know it's 1232. I've checked, and I've checked, and I've checked over again through magnification with my thread gauge, and I'm going to tell you that these nipples are 1232. Here's my number 3260 degree pitch thread gauge, and that fits in there perfectly. It's in a shadow there, but they're 1232. They're not 1228. So hopefully, yeah, they're not 1228. So I've got to find 6 nipples with a 1232 pitch, and I have a tap coming. Unfortunately, it's coming from China because I can't buy a 1232 tap anywhere that doesn't come from China. And once I get that taken care of, then I'll be bluing this guy too. Well, look at this. In the time it took me to tell you guys that, that's already dry. Wow. Well, I'm going to put another coat on this, and we'll let it drink that in too. So these have been hanging here for a couple hours. They're all got a decent layer of rust on them, and I'll boil them tomorrow. Let them sit and hang all night, rust in. And then, you know, any thin spots, I'll come back and make sure I'll hit on the second go around of rust bluing. I'll do this multiple times. Make sure I get the finish that I want. The grips have drank in all of that linseed oil I put on them, and I'm going to hold off on putting any more on tonight. I'll put another layer or two, coat or two on tomorrow morning while I've got those parts in the bluing tank. But this video is long enough. Once I get it edited and uploaded tonight, it's going to be late. Thanks for watching, guys. I really do appreciate the views. Take care.